It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, talking about incredible classic beers. And we are into the holiday season now. We have the holiday beers hitting the shelves, and I wanted to do the first Christmas ale that we have for 2024, and that beer is Troegs Mad Elf. Now, Troegs in general is a brewery that I had not had a chance to feature on Old Favorite Friday. The beer's just not available here in Florida, but I have great memories of Troegs. I drank a lot of Troegs beer either when it was either available here in Florida. Honestly, I kind of mash these things up, or it's just when I was traveling and trying the beer in many different places. When I was younger, I traveled a lot more. But things like Nugget Nectar, their Doppelbock, fantastic beers. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on this, not because it's available down here, but because a gentleman named Mark Hummel reached out to me earlier this year and said, hey, I'm a fan of Old Favorite Friday. I'm going to be down there and I'd love to have a beer and hang out. He brought this beer for me, and I could not be more appreciative. I've been sitting on it since June, I think, and this is a year old, obviously, if I've been sitting on it since June. So I just want to wait till the Christmas season so that I could actually do this review. And because of that, this beer has some age aspects to it, which are probably going to play into some of the flavors. But we'll talk about that here in a second. But thank you, Mark, very, very much. Very kind of you. But this beer is from a great brewery, a brewery that I really like. I have had Mad Elf before, but it's been a very long time. And I remembered it being a Belgian dark strong ale. I remember it having honey and cherry flavors in there, and that's exactly what this is. Now, I own and operate a Belgian-style brewery, so I love Belgian dark strong ales, and this is a really, really great example of it. One of the first things that I noticed, and all the flavors and everything are fantastic, but the first thing I noticed with this beer is that it's balanced. So many American versions of Belgian-style beers tend to be too sweet. They leave them way too much residual sugar. They're kind of one-dimensional, and they come off as cloying. You don't want to have very much more than a couple sips. This beer is well balanced. It's got so much going on with it. It's 11% alcohol, but yet it's still dry enough to make it a really, really drinkable beer. So just A+ on that one, just fantastic. And even the flavor profile from the Belgian yeast. And the aspects of the malt that are coming in here. You're getting toffee, you're getting caramel, I'm getting fig and raisin, I'm getting actually some orange marmalade kind of notes. I'm getting a lot of flavors here that I know are coming from the malt and the yeast that are separate from the honey and cherry, which is add an extra dimension to it. So bravo, everything's layered well. There's nothing that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb and becomes too one-dimensional. And the beer itself with the cherry and the honey, I have to say, it's probably faded a little bit. A beer like this is going to, some of those adjunct ingredients are going to fall off over time, but I'm still getting honey on the nose. I'm still getting big cherry on the nose, and they use like 5 different cherries in this, and it's apparent that they're using real fruit because I'm tasting, at least if they're using any synthetic fruit, I'm not tasting it, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm getting a well-rounded cherry profile, and I imagine that's why they use multiple different kind of cherries to get the flavor that they're looking for. So just kind of well-crafted all around. It's a really, really beautiful beer. It's got a gorgeous color to it. You might be able to see here on camera. And it just, once again, as drinkable as this beer is at 11% alcohol, as layered as it is, where you can go back and taste something new and different every time you go back in for a sip. And we're still talking about this beer when I'm drinking it. It's still a little bit probably colder than I'd like it to be. I think it'll be even better as it warms up just a little bit. I don't want it room temperature, but a beer like this with this many flavors, a style of beer like this, similar to like an imperial stout, you really don't want to drink it like freezing cold out of the fridge. I know some people just think that's ridiculous. Every beer has to be cold. That's just not the case. If you're talking about, a crappy American lager, yeah, drink that thing cold. But a beer like this, to be appreciated, really should be more like cellar temperature, like you would drink like a fine red wine. This beer came out for the first time in 2002. The brewery's been around since the late 90s, and they just do really, really good stuff. I wish I knew their distribution footprint so I could tell you, hey, if you live in this area, you can go pick this beer up. But if you're lucky enough to have this beer available in your neck of the woods, the beer's out right now, go pick it up. If you haven't had one in a while, it's really spectacular. One of the things I love about beers like this is that they pair really well with food. And our Belgian strong ale, dark strong ale, Father Christmas, I actually use it in my brining for my turkey every year for Thanksgiving, and it just goes so well because it's got all this clove and cinnamon and all the spices that go along with it. I am picking up a little bit of Christmas spice in here, so I am picking up some of those notes, but they don't dominate. So, and then I use that beer obviously at the Thanksgiving dinner table, and it pairs so well with everything there. One of the things that they recommended on the website of a dish that pairs well here would be something like a glazed ham, which I absolutely see. I think a pork with any kind of like honey glaze or maple glaze would go so well with it, accentuating some of the flavors that are already there. Cherry goes really, really well with pork in that way. But one thing that also came to mind in thinking of, this time of year, duck. As far as a poultry, because this beer is very rich and it's 11%, it's a full flavored beer. Going with something that's a little more fatty, the dark meat, the duck that is just richer would go really, really well together. And also, though, duck goes well with things like a cherry or orange glaze, which would go well here. And even if you were adding like something like rosemary and herbs, those are really good flavors to kind of complement what's going on with like the Belgian yeast strain, which gives off both phenols, which are spicy characteristics, and as well as the fruity characteristics, the esters. So I think those two things would go really, really well together and accentuate some of the great aspects of this beer, and just add, in many cases, add more to it and have a really good dining experience. So I hope you guys, if you haven't heard of this beer before, if it's not available in your area, I am sorry. I know sometimes when we do these beers that are not available all around, I actually will get messages going, oh, I never even heard of that beer, or you should do more beers that are more widely available. This is a great brewery. It's been around for a long time, and just by the nature of the beast, maybe not available in all 50 states, but if you can get your hands on it, good for you. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please keep the suggestions rolling in about the beers that are your favorite beers, because we really appreciate it. Once again, shout out to Mark. Thank you very much. If we can ever get down, if you get down again and we can have a beer together, that'd be fantastic. And any beers for suggestions from you, I'd love to hear those as well. And we'll see you guys next time on Old Favorite Friday. Cheers.